impact in the game.
Give me a break, need another life. Oh, need another life, life. Give me a break, need another life.
Well, with a crucial match in the Champions League against Feyenoord coming up, the league match couldn't have been any kinder to Arsenal today, giving them a favourable one against Nottingham Forest live in the Emirates Stadium, where we'll see start debuts for Omar Rek and Miles Lewis-Skelly. Well, when it comes to the opponents, the league has been very kind to Arsenal so far. Only one loss in their opening month or well, it's actually more than a month now. It's, say, about 4 months now. We're flying through. And today is on paper, a very favourable clash for Arsenal today in their quest to try and get back to the top of the league, with Manchester City and Newcastle United not really running away, but they just keep winning. The objective for Arsenal is just to keep getting the points on the board. And today is a favourable matchup against newly promoted Nottingham Forest. I think they were newly promoted. I can't even remember. It's been so long ago now. But this is a favourable matchup on paper for them. But, of course, Mikel Arteta has the Champions League match against Feyenoord in mind, as we've reached the business end of that competition now, heading into match day 5. To be against Feyenoord. And if he is fit, we could be seeing an appearance from Quinton Timber. But that is for another day. Today is the Premier League, and it's Arsenal's quest to try and just stay with the top two in front of them. And their squad is rather reflective of the Feyenoord match. Of course, David Raya is in goal, but there is debuts, or starts rather, for Omar Rek and Martin Lewis-Skelly as well. A lot of some big names on the bench. With Arteta not willing to risk any possible injury to Bukayo Saka or Alexander Isak, that both have made the bench. Hancho is the captain for Forest. Morgan Gibbs-White, I'm trying to think if he was an Arsenal player at some point. He may have been. But Forest are a very decent side over the last couple of years, I think. I think they are actually still following up from last season. So Forest have actually got a really good squad going so far. But they're up against the might of Arsenal today. But there is a rotation side involved. And this man, Gabriel Jesus, almost getting a goal there in the opening 30 seconds. As Arsenal start, as they mean to go on. So Saliba, Isak, Gabriel, Saka, all rested for the final match. As we are in the business end of the league, and anything can change on a dime in this new league phase, with a couple of teams lower down starting to hit stride and maybe go for that qualification spot, with the 9 to 24 places in the playoffs and 1 to 8 in the automatic qualification for the last 16. Arsenal are in that pack at the moment and pretty much staying near the top of that. The draw will be random, by the way. I don't think there's going to be a league phase kind of order in the last 16. I think they will be randomly drawn after the playoffs have been completed. And as we said, today's focus for Arteta is to get through this match and get the points on the board. In comes Fabio Vieira already, and Milakovic had to clear it. It was almost going to end up with someone else there. I think it may have been Jesus that was going to come up with it, but all of a sudden Vieira came up with it, and there he is with another shot, just saved by the keeper. Sells actually in goal today. Heavily rotated side for Mikel Arteta. If it keeps going like this, he'll be seen as a genius. With all the kind of load management he's been doing with Saka And Isak in particular, he does not want to lose them to any threat to injury, and who can blame him? Well, Raheem Sterling has only made 6 appearances since his loan from Chelsea, and every time he's been on, it's been relatively quiet for him, which has been strange. But with all the offense going through Isak and Saka and Martinelli recently, I don't think you can really blame him specifically for that. It's just the way Arsenal have been playing so well, especially in recent weeks. I think since the Manchester City game, they have not lost a game. And for the whole of the season, I don't think they've lost once at home. They have an unbeaten home record for the season. The Emirates has been a bit of a fortress this year for Mikel Arteta, and he's got exactly what he needed out of his side this year. And as we said, going into the season, it was a question of where the goals were going to come from. Alexander Isak and particularly Bukayo Saka as well have more than answered those questions so far. He's a former teammate of mine, Elanga. Here's a Waddy, and he's away. He's going to shoot, yes he is, and there's an early goal for Nottingham Forest against the mode of play. And the Arsenal defenders were asleep, and that was not in the script. That is not what Mikel Arteta needed. And he's mimicking the Mo Salah celebration here. But a shock goal for Nottingham Forest, and the Arsenal crowd is not happy. Reg and Calvori really didn't cover themselves in glory here. Calvori arrives way too late, and Reg is a bit slow on the uptake as well. But it's all in a... this is not a situation that Arsenal will want to find themselves in. If they were top of the league, I don't think by a points margin, I don't think this would be so frowned upon. But the fact they're part of the chasing pack and having to rotate the squad and focus on something else, it does happen. But it really depends on what position you're in. And Mikel Arteta is part of the chasing pack. So it's going to be interesting to see how his side responds. But as we know Arsenal this season, they always do respond. It'll be just a question of who and where from. And that's the question we'll find out over the next 80 minutes of this remaining matchup. And Forest are away again with Elanga. And Rek gets the challenge in there. And then taken by Zinchenko. Zinchenko's been getting a lot of starts for Arsenal lately. He's been playing really well as a result. There's Jorginho. Arsenal supposedly looking to trigger a 1-year extension on Jorginho's contract. He's getting up there in years a bit. We've got a score coming in, and Brentford have taken the lead. I believe that's Yone Rees that has scored for Brentford, I think. I could be wrong about that. But regardless, Brentford have a 1-0 lead at Goodison Park as the farewell tour is not going all that well for Everton so far. Pretty much on the thread of relegation at the moment. It's got a bit of a points margin between them, but they can be put in the drop if things continue really not to go their way. Looks like with the ball in, but no one at Forest is going to meet it. So Alanga's had to come out from his position and receive the ball. I think it's an Arsenal free kick. And Forest will feel a bit hard done by there, to be fair. Well, my mum was born in Nottingham. I'm not really sure if she was a Forest fan. She never really mentioned it. She said it was her team, but she wasn't really a football person. My memories of her watching football would be the World Cup before we left for school at one time, back in 2002. Man, that was a long, long time ago now. But in any case, she'd be happy with the results so far. But here comes Fabio Vieira, and Hunko clears it. Good clearance by the captain. You can feel Arsenal starting to get the ascendancy now, stringing some passes together. It really is like the Arsenal of old sometimes. Zinchenko tries to put the ball in. Oh, and now it's Elanga on the way, and Arsenal being caught on the break again, and Raya saves it this time. But Arsenal living rather dangerously right now. Here's a warning with the header, but it's too straight into the arms of David Raya. Alino to Gibbs White, and Calvori throws himself in front of it. It looks like being another one of those where David Raya concedes the odd goal. Then Arsenal turn up a gear and go and score 4 or 5 usually. It's usually how it works. Keeping Arsenal out has been almost an impossible task for, well, pretty much almost anybody really. I think the only time the opponents kept a clean sheet was Bournemouth. And that had David Raya in the Arsenal goal and Aaron Ramsdale in the other. And I thought I saw Jesus hobbling a bit there. Now that could be interesting. Gabriel Jesus is not really amongst the first name on the team sheet anymore with the signing of Alexander Isak, but if you're a bit thin on strikers, which Arsenal really still are, from a rotational standpoint, with Kai Havertz out at the moment, this is probably the last thing Arteta needed. He'll keep an eye on it. To Lewis Skelly. Arsenal youngster getting a start today, along with Rack, of course. Lewis Skelly shoots and scores! One of the most unlikeliest of sources, Martin Lewis Skelly has scored for Arsenal, and he's levelled it up. Now, I believe it's his first ever Premier League goal. But once again, Arsenal get the goals from the unlikeliest of sources. And that is just the... what's the word? It's the kind of thing with this Arsenal team. They're not only scoring goals, but everyone is doing it whilst they're scoring goals. With Isak and Saka getting the bulk. Arsenal have drawn level. And if we are right, and this is going to be the typical Arsenal day, it won't be the last. And that is 1 goal in 2 matches for Skelly. So he's already made his debut last time out that he played. And now he's got his first ever Premier League goal. As Mikel Arteta continues to really show faith in his youngsters that he has done this year. And I think that's just the commanding position that Arsenal have been in during the game itself, rather than the overall league table. Hudson Odoi plopped that by Tomiyasu, and then Raya puts it away as well. That's great defending from all assets there. That's a great shot. Tomiyasu throwing himself in front of it, and Raya having the wherewithal to put it out. And David Raya's brilliance is not gone unnoticed. Like we said, he maybe concedes the odd goal every now and then, but he saves the rest, and that is an important matter when you're chasing a title. They say defense wins championships. That very well could be the case. Dominguez with a shot there. I think Jesus has recovered. I think he's moving a bit easier now. So maybe it's just a bit of a sprain, maybe, or just a scrape. But he seems pretty good now. And that would have really knocked out the wind out of Arsenal's sails if they scored there. But a superb goal kick. Getting it to his teammates. And now Sterling is on the ball. 6 appearances since coming on loan from Chelsea. And Idrissa has scored for Everton. And Goodison Park will be bouncing again. That's 1-1 there now. Some talk of maybe it's only a rumour, but there is some talk of David Moyes maybe. If it goes bad, will David Moyes be approached again in this final season of Goodison Park? He made a name for himself there and took Everton to places that a lot of people probably wouldn't have put them in. It didn't win them titles or anything, but they definitely became a noteworthy team under David Moyes, and the stability they had with that really helped. Here's Jesus! Goal! Vintage Arsenal, 2-1, and Forest are in for a long rest of this afternoon. Oh, he was hobbling a bit earlier. Gabriel Jesus has scored another, and he's not really going to get so many chances ahead of Alexander Isak these days. But when he's called upon, that's what he can do. But I still think Arsenal need maybe just another striker. But would they have to sell someone to acquire that asset? Because don't forget, the PSR rules basically mean, to a degree, that you do have to sell to buy these days. So maybe Arsenal will think about that later in the year. We've got another score coming in. I think Palace have equalised against Aston Villa. What's happened to Aston Villa? They've had a very unnoteworthy start to the year. They're doing okay in the Champions League, I think, but in the Premier League, they're only in they're the top half of the table, but they're not where they were last year. They've had a much slower start. Contrast that with Newcastle United, for example, and they're absolutely flying. They're second only to Manchester City. Because that's probably because of course, really. Like Erling Haaland just banging them in for City on a daily basis, a weekly basis, really. So just the talent of Haaland. And now they have some fierce challenges, and not just Arsenal that we thought. Newcastle have come from nowhere. And of course now, Manchester United are back in a transition phase with Ruud van Nistelrooy at this very moment. And big rumours that Ruben Amorim will be coming in a game or two for Sporting Lisbon, which actually probably wouldn't be a bad idea. Sporting have struggled in the Champions League, but I do believe that they're winning the Portuguese League, so that would be a real surprise. Amorim is doing great, but Ten Hag also did great and at a former club, and then he came over and then it all went wrong. Not from minute one, essentially, but definitely in the latter half of the latter stage of the tenure. It's a great turn by Jesus as we approach half-time. Can Arsenal double their lead? No. Sell saves it, and it's out for a corner. Well, that's a good save. It's a good reactionary save as well. So Martin Lewis-Skelly and Gabriel Jesus, they were probably not on your bingo card when you thought of scorers this morning. But that's what's happened. Calvori with a shot. That would have been very interesting had it not been blocked. Now here's Sterling. That's a good turn. Sterling's been rather ineffective so far. He puts a cross in, but Hancho gets there first. As we enter the 4 minutes of added on time in this game. And Arsenal are pretty much in the ascendancy, although they are getting caught on the break a few times. And here's another time. Anthony Elanga. And Hudson-Odoi puts it wide as he was being pressured by Tomiyasu to shoot probably earlier than he would have liked. Arsenal's depth and the way they're getting the goals will certainly help in this stage of the season. We are approaching the end of November. This is where the fixtures start to rack up. You've got Carabao Cup ties. We'll have the FA Cup in January, of course. Arsenal going up against Manchester United in the third round. But before that, they've got the Premier League clash to have. That's going to be a strange day for me, incidentally. Gives wide, and saved by Raya. And Tomiyasu gets there first, ahead of Hudson-Odoi, I think it is. So I can't get the ball off Tomiyasu right now. Calvori, what a great pass. And another great pass by Jorginho. Now who will Vieira pick out? Vieira picks out Jesus. Sterling has kept running. Raheem Sterling! He scored! There we go! Well, we said he's been rather ineffective, but now he's just been into the effective category. Raheem Sterling gets his first Arsenal goal on loan from Chelsea. And it's a good one of that. Brilliant Arsenal move. The passes all were exquisite. And much like Raheem Sterling's celebration, he knocked it out of the park. And Arsenal now have a gap as the half-time whistle blows. And it's 3-1 to Arsenal. And it looks like being another one of those where Arsenal just tend to score more than everyone else. And they'll certainly take it. As Raheem Sterling, the big beneficiary, getting his first Arsenal goal. Along with Lewis-Skelly getting the same. And another goal for Gabriel Jesus as well. Arsenal 3, Nottingham Forest 1. It could be a long second half for them. We'll go back to the Emirates Stadium, where the belief just keeps growing as Arsenal keep being put, at least for now, in winning positions. They're leading by 3-1 with 3 different goal scorers in Gabriel Jesus, Martin Lewis-Skelly And most recently, of course, Raheem Sterling, who gets the ball here and already is on the chase. And Jesus is with him. Sterling cuts inside. Oh, it's just over. And all of a sudden, a light has been lit under Raheem Sterling. And that is not a bad strike. It's not a bad strike at all. That was going in the corner had it not risen any further. Another winning position for Arsenal, which means the squad rotation will probably take into effect this half. As we know, Mikel Arteta is literally using a load management technique on Isak and Saka, using them as least as possible, except for the big games, of course. This is not really a big one on the calendar. This is one where Arsenal would be expected to do the business, as it were, and they're certainly doing it. Expectation equals reality for this one. Forest are definitely giving them a game, though, Elanga. Catching them a couple of times out on the break. Obviously, no Saliba and Gabriel in the centre of defence. They've been saved for Feyenoord in the UEFA Champions League match day 5, I believe that is now. With Arsenal obviously looking to respond from that loss to Real Madrid at the Bernabeu. And the last Champions League game, I believe, Arsenal will have, it's against Celtic. And coming up against goalkeeper Kasper Schmeichel in that one. He's been a bit of a globe-trotter since he left Leicester City. Joined in the Italian league for a bit. Fiorentina, I believe it was. It's David De Gea. I think he did go to Italy. He's ended up in Scotland with the Scottish champions. Is Anaway the Forest goal scorer? Well, Forest did take the lead in the first half. And Calvori and Gibbs White there has caught Calvori slipping a bit, but he couldn't get on the ball. Well, he couldn't get the ball in the back of the net, I should say. Gibbs White takes the corner. And Williams with a header. It's into the ground and in the arms of David Raya. Oh, brilliant touch by Jesus. And now he's away. Gabriel Jesus definitely playing well. Oh, it's saved by the keeper, but in comes Fabio Vieira to make it 4. For Arsenal these days, it's just too easy. It's another goal for Fabio Vieira as well. Another man coming through the Arsenal Academy and thriving under Mikel Arteta. Much like all the youngsters in that academy right now. It's a good save from the keeper. He can do nothing about the rebound. Fabio Vieira just able to tuck it into the corner. And Arsenal are out of sight for this one. Arsenal 4, Forest 1. Well, we said at the end of the first it could be a long second half for Nottingham Forest. It's just got even longer now. Arsenal are just reaching that other planet that they always have seemed to reach this season. And here's a worry, wait a minute. Rhett goes with a tackle. Ryan makes a great save, to be fair. Gibbs White. Tackled by Martin Lewis-Skelly of all people. Jorginho's gone down. Hopefully he's back on his feet. Arsenal play on. There's no signal from the referee to play advantage anyway, so play would have stood. Now Jesus is down. Now he went... Jesus went down earlier and was hobbling around a bit, but thankfully for Arsenal, he seems to have run it off. Obviously, they've got Kai Havertz out for an extended period. And it's offside. And Martinelli really has been the unsung hero for Arsenal this year. And we have a substitution for Arsenal. And Gabriel Jesus is going off for Eddie Nketiah. And he's struggling again. And that will not be a worrying sign for Arteta, so he's leaped straight into action. and taking him off. And we hope that if he has some checks on that injury he sustained in the first half, that they don't reveal anything worse. Could be not a time for that. Kai Havertz will be out to at least the beginning of January, I believe, or maybe even like the end of January, the beginning of February right now. And that's two really good squad players that Arteta has lost, if that is the case, of course. Here's Vieira. Honcho bows to the ball and Arsenal have a free kick. Lewis Kelly flicks it. And advantage given to Nottingham Forest. And now here's Alanga. And Martins Lewis Skelly has played really well today. And Winnie. Tomiyasu takes it from Hudson-Odoi. Sterling has started running. But Sterling hasn't got the pace he once did. He's keeping with Anina in any case. To Gibbs-White. Louise to Gibbs-White again. Forest still playing on with intent. Hudson-Odoi. And it's a goal kick. Formerly of Chelsea, Hudson-Odoi. And I think he hit it with the wrong part of his boot there, to be honest. Well, the Emirates has always been packed to the rafters this season. I remember when I first went, it was the same. These Arsenal match-going fans are probably some of the best in the world at the moment. Especially in the current circumstances, with Arsenal just continuing to win games and score goals and provide fantastic football. They really have been playing like champions for the most part. It's just unfortunately for them, Newcastle and particularly Manchester City, who are unbeaten for the season so far, have played slightly better than them in the Premier League table right now. But with Arsenal, it's much more of a team effort. And that's not to say Manchester City don't have team effort players, you know, Kevin De Bruyne, Erling Haaland, but the offense, the attacking does run through Haaland for about 80% of the time, whereas with Arsenal, you never know who's going to score. They've got three unlikely scorers today: Martin Lewis Skelly, Raheem Sterling, and Gabriel Jesus. And now Fabio Vieira. So it's 4 different scorers for Arsenal today. Total team effort. Emphasis on total. That's what I meant earlier. It has been a total team effort every time Arsenal have stepped on a football pitch, with everyone getting touches and everyone scoring goals and getting shots. And the bulk of it has come from Saka and Isak, to be sure. And even Martinelli has gone in on the act. Trossard got 8 in that game against the young boys. So there has been bulk scorers, but for the most part, it has been a total team effort. And a substitution for Arsenal, speaking of which, Martinelli is going off, and coming on is Reece Nelson. So, still no Bukayo Saka or Alexander Isak, but there's no need for Mikel Arteta to bring them on. He has them on in emergency situations, and this is far from an emergency. Arsenal are 4-1 up and in the ascendancy on this game, although Forest do look a threat to score again if they can get there. But Raya has been tremendous in the second half so far. If you want to put a commentator's curse on it. Here's Hudson-Odoi. To be met by Omar Rek, and Rek is going to defend defensively do brilliant there. Fantastic defending by Omar Rek, the youngster there. Headed in by Belevic off the corner and out for a goal kick. Well, yeah, Tomiyasu and Eddie Nketiah really just swarming him there and not letting him breathe. Gives you with a header, but it's only ended up with Williams here. Williams with a great ball to Gibbs White. Good play here from Forest. Dominguez. Here's Alonga. And he's got the better of Sinchenko. And Alonga. Oh, he's done brilliantly, Gibbs White. Forest have to score. Oh, Martin Lewis-Skelly does brilliantly. But Alonga, some brilliant skill. Skelly could have probably committed a foul on another day, but he's got the ball there. Arsenal looking a bit shaky right now, but they've cleared it away. And, Forest feeling it, and good save by David Raya again. Sensational stuff from David Raya. Of course, Arsenal do go and score more, so if he has a day where he concedes a goal or two, Arsenal already kind of got their own cushion by then, but the saves he's made have been nothing short of sensational for about 80% of the time. Here is Reece Nelson. Ancho. Is Nelson going to beat him? Yes, he is. Nelson wanted that more. And now here he comes. And a good save by the keeper. Fantastic run by Reece Nelson. Lost the ball momentarily, but went to go get it back. And Sterling will take this resulting corner. Arsenal got their fingerprints all over this one. Sterling with the corner. It's a looping ball and Rack. And that was a stunning header by the youngster. What a leaping header by Rack that was. That was brilliant. Oh, that was goal worthy. What a shame. What a header. And I don't think Rack really knew he had that in him, but now he does. Another good header. But he ended up with Dominguez, unfortunately. Longer. And he's offside. Well, he's got both feet just on the offside line there. Right with the ball. It's going to end up with, I think that was, I'm not sure who that was. Gibbs White. Forest definitely do look a threat to score again, but it's a bit far too late. We're in the 86th minute. Stranger things have happened. It's a good save by Sells, to be fair. And we have a goal kick for Arsenal. I thought it was a corner. And again, but I think he's committed a foul. And Arsenal have a free kick. Goal coming in. Adama Traore, I think, has scored in the 87th minute for Fulham against Wolves, who are continuing to sink in this season's Premier League, bottom of the table, and struggling to get points on the board. And now it looks like they're going to struggle again, as it's 1-0 to Fulham there now. Dominguez, blocked out by Rek again. And Dominguez sources a save out of Raya on the second attempt. And Arsenal looking like a stone wall defensive unit yet again. And Jorginho to Calvori, what a great pass. And Eddie Nketiah is away here. He's picked out Nelson. Will he cut him back to Nketiah? He will. It's a wonderful Arsenal move. It is 5-1. Tremendous move once again as the deadly counter-attack proves to be the undoing of another team. Calvori's pass to Eddie Nketiah was sensational. And then he picked out Nelson. And then he picked Nketiah back out. Right on point and on target. And Nketiah does not miss from there. It's another stunning 5 goals for this Arsenal team. It doesn't matter if their A, B or C unit is out, Arsenal will almost certainly score goals, and a lot of them. Arsenal 5, Forest 1 in the second minute of 7 have added on time in the second half. Shinchenko has been dispossessed by Dominguez. That's Nketiah's first Premier League goal of the season. And Jota, who was formerly of Wolves, so he's left a sinking ship, so to speak. Because Wolves are having a pretty torrid season so far. Gibbs White Forest just really haven't had their shooting boots on since the beginning of the first half. Really. But once Arsenal hit second or third gear, they run through the rest. And are out of sight in a blur, really. Another game where David Raya only concedes 1, and he's very unfortunate to do so. Probably should have a couple more clean sheets, you could argue, but it's not always on him. It was more on the defenders for the Forest goal. And they have looked like scoring again in this game. There's going to be nothing wrong with the consolation they do, but in any case, Dominguez is going to try, but Calvori is there. And Arsenal really now can just run down the clock and take the 3 points for today. In a vital win as part of a chasing pack, they really need to hope that Manchester City and Newcastle drop points, and we've got a red card for Reco Williams here. What a needless challenge. I didn't think that was going to be a red card so near the end of the game. It's you can't do that. But Elanga's gone off for Hwang, and it's really not going to change much in context of the game. It's probably going to be along it another minute or two. But Arsenal have already won this game. Skelly picks out Vieira. And that is the end of another Arsenal victory by 5 goals. 4 to be exact, because Forest did get 1. But in the second half, Arsenal really just had this game all to themselves. And a bunch of different scorers once again for Arsenal. Sterling getting his first goal on Chelsea. Skelly getting his first goal. Nketiah getting his as well. And it was just another, as we said before, all-round team performance from Arsenal. They just need those ahead of them to drop points. Right now, they probably should be top of the table, and they've won here today. So, let's take you through the rest of the weekend scores then. And Leicester City getting a shock win against Chelsea at the King Power Stadium, while Fulham beat Wolves by 1 goal to 0, as we reported earlier. Brentford and Everton turned into a classic at Goodison Park, with Brentford just squeezing through and moving then to 6th in the table. Bournemouth beat Brighton, but the big result actually was not Aston Villa, but they did beat Crystal Palace. But there was dropped points at Manchester City finally. Spurs doing their London rivals a favour. Contrast that with last season. Ipswich and Manchester United ended a 1-1 draw in Ruud van Nistelrooy's second game in charge, and I think it might be his last, because Ruben Amorim is pretty much incoming. We'll take you through the table while we come with the other scores to come through. So City have a 2-point lead now with some drop points against Spurs, but that more helps Newcastle than Arsenal at the moment. We've got more scores coming in. Southampton lost to Liverpool by 2 goals, and Newcastle actually won, so that's why in their position they're in with a 1-0 win against West Ham United. So City lead the table from Newcastle then by 2 points now. Arsenal a further point behind. Liverpool into 4th. Spurs then take 5th. But little Brentford, perhaps to them, getting in 6th. Manchester United just continues to sink into 7th now. Bournemouth 8th. Leicester 9th. Chelsea now down to 10th. And like we said, Villa, what's happened to them? Down on 11th now. Fulham, Brighton, West Ham, Nottingham Forest, so despite Forest losing their 15th, Everton into 16th despite losing, and Palace on the last of a safe zone. It's Ipswich 3 points behind, Southampton on the same points. Wolves, they've got a bit more fighting chance now, but their early season struggles really could hamper them later on.